It's ready, let me know. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the series of Webinar Series 2024 organized by Singapore Polytechnic. This evening, we have two speakers, James E. and Mr. Chua K. Chiang, that will share with you for the topics for today. James E. will be speaking on the AI and generative AI, while the second speaker, Mr. Chua, will speak on cybersecurity. Before we proceed, you most probably have received the pre-reading materials that sent to you for those of you that have registered with us. Fear not, for those who have not received the pre-reading materials, you can scan the QR code on the slide page here, key in your name and your registered email so that we can send the post and the pre-reading materials to you after the webinar session. Without further ado, let me pass the floor to Mr. James E. Mr. James, please.
Thank you, Dr. Tian, for the good introductions. My name is James E. I'll be walking through with you Gen AI for the next 1 hour. Without further ado, let me share what will be presented in the next hour. Today, we will be exploring the world of Gen AI. We begin by laying the foundation with a background on the evolution of AI technologies leading us to this point. Next, we tackle the question, what is Gen AI? Here we will define Gen AI in a manner that mystified its complexity and showcase its potential through various use cases. This is crucial for setting the stage for everything that flows. Following that, we will explore how does Gen AI works, and this basically will take us under the hood of Gen AI's technology, explaining the mechanism that enables this system to create, predict, and simulate the power of Gen AI. Our discussion then shifts to Gen AI and education. We will highlight how this technology is revolutionizing the education landscape, from personalized learning experience to automate administrative tasks, thereby enriching both teaching and learning processes. I like to call out this word personalized, as this is something that will impact personalized engagement across industries, not just on the education industry alone. And finally, with this personalized engagement, it also raises concern in cybersecurity. The spam email you receive in future will be even more personalized and more convincing and difficult for you to differentiate if it is fake or authentic email. For that, I'll leave it to Mr. Chua, our next speaker, who will provide a more comprehensive download of cybersecurity after my sharing in Gen AI topic. And finally, we will talk about the use cases for Gen AI, where we pinpoint the practical application scenario where Gen AI is not just a theory, but a practical tool driving industry efficiency. So let's get started. So what is Gen AI? Basically, Gen AI creates new content and ideas, including conversational points, whether is it stories, images, videos, and music. Why is Gen AI considered to be so powerful? Now, you can consider the opposite scenario where Gen AI merely recycle existing content and it's not creating new content, right? Source from the internet or books. If we are using such an approach, right, it would significantly reduce the relevancy in addressing problems with solutions tailored to your unique needs and the particular context of your issue. But Gen AI is not. Gen AI actually create new contents and new ideas for targeting your problem. So of course, there are more benefits of Gen AI, but for this limited 1 hour session, we look at various Gen AI tools, application, and the prompt engineering techniques. So how do you use prompt engineering techniques to quickly draft out an email, to quickly come up with ideas? We will touch on that shortly. I'd like to start off with a quote by Andrew, the co-founder and head of Google Brain, who said that ChatGPT is a fascinating technology that has the potential to transform the way we communicate with machines. I think this is a very powerful point, the way we communicate with machines using prompt, right? In future, you do not need a very technical person to communicate with machines, with AI, with very sophisticated equipments, right? All you need is a prompt, right? Whether is it prompting through text or prompting through speech itself. Now, generative AI is the type of artificial intelligence that can produce various types of contents, including text, imagery, audio, and synthetic data. All this were explained earlier, but some may ask, what is this particular terms, synthetic data? I think text, imagery, audio are pretty straightforward, right? But synthetic data, what is that? So synthetic data, think of it as something useful to train AI model, right? So if I want to train an AI model to detect ice cream on a restaurant table so that a robot can come and clean the ice cream on the table when being detected, the machines, the AI machines, the detection machine need to know the different scenario of an ice cream that is on the table itself. Example, a big chunk of ice cream on the table, a small chunk of ice cream on the table, ice cream drop on the left corner of a table, or ice cream drop on the top right corner of a table. All this needs to be detected by the AI, and data is needed to train it. Of course, the old ways of training the data is to basically take photos of the various scenarios, right? Of the ice cream on the top left corner, on the top right corner, and then of course on the a big chunk of ice cream, a small little drop of ice cream. All this you can take photos of it and then train the model. But recent development uses synthetic data, so to speak. What it means that you just need to, for example, analyze just one drop of the ice cream, right? And you regenerate the various scenario of the ice cream. Remember the small chunk of ice cream and the big chunk of ice cream? You just use that one photo of one snapshot of the ice cream. You stretch using AI to stretch the image to make the ice cream bigger so that it looks bigger on the table or smaller on the table. You use AI to rotate the ice cream positions around the table, and each iteration produces a new set of data that can be used to train AI. So in another word, you can even say that AI can generate new data to teach itself, so to speak. So how does Gen AI works? Firstly, as I mentioned earlier on, Gen AI basically starts with a prompt. A prompt is just a few letter text. Of course, It can be also in the form of audio files, image, a video, a design notes. And of course, a mixture of it can be used to to AI to generate, to create new media or new content for you. Now, the various AI algorithm, right, used by different Gen AI application, whether is it ChatGPT, whether is it Gemini, or whether is it Cloud, for example, right, they use different algorithm and they return new content in response to the prompt itself. So the content, the output basically can be an essay, a long essay, a short essay. It can be a message, a short message for WhatsApp, a long message for your email, or it can be a solutions to a problem, whether is it a coding problem or is it a physics problem. And very unsettling, of course, is the recent, it can actually create fake images from a photo, from a pictures of a person collected on the public web itself. Now that also raise up the cybersecurity threat, so to speak. Because of this, with fake personalities, fake images, you can actually do social engineering and compromise the security of various organizations. Now, something light for this section. Here is a fun history of AI evolution. I just want to call out, AI did not happen overnight. It is many years in the making. Example, you can see that in 1932, researcher uses mechanical computer in the form of punch cards to translate language. Of course, I will assume the languages is very simple, short languages, but it's using mechanical computer, you see. So that was one of the beginning of AI. But of course, along the way, there are other milestones, developments in the AI revolution. But I want to just call out the fact that you notice that 1932, 1957, there's various milestones, but you realize that, hey, after 2000, right, the milestones, the kind of achievement around AI start to increase, right? Why is it there are so many breakthroughs after the year 2000? Of course, you know that AI can only be as powerful and useful if it has a lot of data to train. And what happens during the year 2000, around the year 2000, right? We know there is the internet being kicked in, right, to the world. Of course, internet is during the 90s, mid-90s or late 90s. But 2000 marks also the beginning of faster internet access. Along the way, of course, reaches 2006 where the broadband starts coming into a picture. Now, why is this significant, right? You not only have data made available, text made available with the internet during the 2000, but with the broadband, you also introduced different media of informations to researcher. You have what you call that videos, you have audio files, you have many pictures, for example, all made available to the world researchers interested in AI. Now, this chart illustrates the rapid rise of ChatGPT. It achieved 100 million global active users in just 2 months itself, comparing to 9 months for TikTok. And the next nearest competitor, Instagram, actually took about 30 months to reach 100 million active users. The way they define active users is they use the product at least once a month, right, continuously, to be considered as active users. So ChatGPT is gaining traction worldwide. it highlights the unprecedented global tractions for this product. Now, before I move on to ChatGPT, which is one of the Gen AI application, I just want to call out, hey, in general, right, Gen AI application, what are those? First, you can think of Gen AI application. One of the application is the text to image translation. So just now I mentioned, right, you basically, Gen AI requires a prompt. So one of the prompt is text. You can use text, you just prompt the AI to generate certain images, say the city, a picture of New York City, for example, right? Then an image is being generated, as you can see, for example, on the right hand side. Now, then you also have Gen AI to do image to image translation. What does that mean? Basically, you want maybe the pictures, the prompt in the form of a picture to be translated into another picture, but you want it to be in another form. For example, maybe the style of Van Gogh, right? Vincent Van Gogh. Then it will generate an image that looks like the brush strokes looks like Vincent Van Gogh for the same picture. Or you can see in this example here, you input some images and then you want to translate into sketches, right? A simple sketches as shown on the top here. So image to image translation. Of course, you can translate from example a grayscale image to full color scale images, right? Now, all this technology, of course, we can do it manually, but with AI, it do it tremendously fast. Of course, another unsettling thing about application about AI is the fake image generation. I like to point out, you can see on the right hand side, on the bottom side, bottom corner, right corner, you see that there is two person, one male, one female, but you notice that their body movement is the same itself, right? The hand is pointing up, the other one is pointing sideways. And this is a way of generating. Of course, you can say that this emulate the generated image emulate the interested object, so to speak. But at the same time, if you think deviously, you can actually generate a fake image of a person trying to communicate to another person, for example, in distress mode, right? You can act yourself to be very in a distress mode and create some scenario that can spam people. So that is one application. Of course, then there are other applications that I earlier mentioned, that using a prompt, whether it's in the form of text, audio, video, or image, or a combination of image and video, for example, you can actually generate more content in the same format, whether is it more images or more video itself. And of course, you also can use Gen AI to generate more data sets for you to train specific AI use cases. Now, of course, the last thing is what I think everyone knows about is chatbots. One of the common chatbot that we have been using and been talking about is ChatGPT, but which comes from Google, and now known as Gemini, which is which is Google, and of course there's Copilot from Microsoft itself. Now, moving on, we explore Gen AI using the context I am familiar with, something that is close to my heart, which is on education. Now, I just want to call out this technology isn't just reshaping how we teach and learn. It changes the personalized engagement across industry, not just the education industry. But first, let's dive into the education mode. You realize that Gen AI can create lesson plans and assessment tailored for individual student needs, hence a personalized kind of engagement with the user. And Gen AI make this possible, enable educator to provide a personalized learning experience that cater to the unique abilities of every student. Now, it doesn't stop just by customization. Gen AI streamlines some of the very burdensome, very repetitive tasks that educator face daily. From grade assessment to crafting details, lesson plans, AI can kind of automate or simplify these processes, freeing educator to focus on what truly matters, teaching and inspiring students. Now, to broaden the horizons, as I mentioned, Gen AI is not confined to the sectors alone. Imagine you apply this technology to the corporate world, right? Everyone faces new staff, right? Hire new staff. New staff requires more trainings, or staff that move on, right? That upskills themselves to a higher position. There's transition involved. There's also handover of complex projects. Now, all this can be made seamless with AI, right? Because you can create certain content, whether it's a handover document that there's a very personalized kind of documents to teach, to train the staff. Now, in essence, Gen AI is a bridge to a future where personalized and efficiencies is being uplifted to every aspects of our educational and also professional life. Whether is it nurturing the next generation of learners or onboarding the new employee, the possibilities are endless. Now, there are many Gen AI tools. Okay, the one that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with is ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT shines in versatile conversational AI tasks. It has many capability. Okay, now the other one would be the next AI tool will be Bing Chat, now known as Copilot. Basically, Copilot also is being powered by ChatGPT. It it changes the way we interact with human-like responses, and also provides detailed footnotes for source credibility. So if you use Copilot, right, whether is it the mobile apps or in the web version, whatever response they give you, right, there is actually the source. There's a URL placed there where are the source of the response comes from. You can click on it and you can read it for yourself whether is it reliable or not. So that is one of the cool features about Copilot. Now next is Bard by Google, now known as Gemini. Its main goal is to retrieve informations, okay, from various online pages, web pages, and it presents to you in a very simplified response, like a digital assistants such as the Alexa and Siri. Now it is even more with Gemini. They have been emphasizing that Gemini is being trained using the multimodal large language models in its responses. Basically, it not only uses text, okay, from the internet, it uses videos and uses audio files, pictures to train its model to give the response in a much relevant, much more powerful manner. Lastly, there is the Cloud, which distinguishes itself for coding support, content summarizations, and optimized writing, cater to specific tasks. Now, I just want to add on, right? There's many tools available, right? There's a recent review I found interesting is that which compare the ChatGPT, Gemini, and Cloud about the various power of the AI model. Okay, they say that Google Gemini excels in creativity aspect. Okay, it can come up with generate very new good ideas, and also its model capability, right? So you can also generate images, videos easily. Now the next thing is ChatGPT. It talks about it's powered by deep learning. It uses Microsoft Azure. It shines also in the models task. The accuracy is not too bad, and there's a lot of improved safety and factual content delivery. So ChatGPT has been learning since the first launch uh, to the market, where they talk about the hallucinations, things like that. They have been addressing it in the subsequent version 4 versus the version 3. And cloud, of course, as mentioned, it prioritizes safety and ethics. It knows and is known for its interactive writing. So you can think of it as you can role play easily, you can interact with the users and generate new content much easier. Now, each AI has unique strength. With Gemini, focus on creative writings, ChatGPT on versatile and safety, while Cloud on ethics and safety-focused application. I must say that this Gen AI applications, tools, is a very dynamic landscape. The various models used by Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, is improving all the time. Just to give you an example, right? ChatGPT earlier on give response without citations, right, on the source of this information. And I mentioned earlier that Bard, or known as Gemini now, has already by then actually has a solution with citation with URL linked where the response comes from. Now, the recent ChatGPT 4, if you notice that the citations is being placed in its response, not very obvious, but it's in a small curve, some very light green symbols if you use it at this point of time, right? So I encourage everyone to really try out the various AI. Okay, I think the most of the AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini are very good. Okay, but it's just a matter of the user interface, whether it for you as a user does it suit you well better. Okay, this is something that is why something for you to explore and find out about. For me, I just use ChatGPT, but that is just me itself now. Moving to ChatGPT, how it works. Just now, we've been talking a lot about how Gen AI works. Now we look at ChatGPT as a Gen AI tool, how it actually functions, right? One thing I like to call out is ChatGPT, whether is it the version 3 or version 4, it trains on a large amount of text and code from the internet itself. Okay, now, according to, we never review exactly what are the sources of data, whether is it mainly the open source data or is it just public websites, right? We do not know, but one thing for sure, it can be why the response of ChatGPT is so relevant is because there is a large amount of text and content being taken to train it. Now, if you use ChatGPT 3.5 at the start, right, it always highlight this point that the data that they use is before a certain year. Is it 2021 or 2022? Of course, I'm sure in the later version, this timeline will shift, right? So in a way, one must take on the caveat that, hey, ChatGPT is really good at some static data. If you want the latest dynamic data, ChatGPT may not be the most relevant, powerful tool for it. Okay, But having said that, right, you realize that ChatGPT was being bought over by Microsoft. And Microsoft has been, over the past 12 months, been trying to incorporate some of its functions with ChatGPT and vice versa, right? ChatGPT function into its product. Now, one of the things that ChatGPT do by incorporating Microsoft usage is using Bing, right? In the ChatGPT 4.0 version, if you were to search for some latest information, for example, you ask ChatGPT using this prompt called, I'd like to know the latest stock price of Tesla. Remember, I earlier mentioned that ChatGPT actually you have a cutoff point in terms of its data. It's usually 2021 or 2022. With a prompt like asking the latest stock price, ChatGPT actually is smart enough to know that the user didn't specify a date, but by its context, they are asking for the latest stock price, which ChatGPT itself doesn't have it. So what it does is ChatGPT activate Bing and went into the search engine to search for the Tesla stock price. And from there, ChatGPT analyze the search results and extract out the relevant information of the stock price and show it to the user. Okay, so that is one thing that ChatGPT work around in the what do you call that, in the limited data that it has, right? When I say limited, it's because it's using a certain year of data. So the workaround is using like Microsoft product to do it now then. But of course, the downside of it is you notice that whenever you activate Bing to find out the latest information, right, it takes a while. The response may take half a minute to 1 minute. Some of you may find it too long, right? In the world where we need instant gratification, where we need the data to be quickly available for us, right? So this is the first thing that ChatGPT do, right? It trained itself with large text and code. Next is ChatGPT learns pattern and ways that humans talk to each other. So a point to note is ChatGPT basically use large language model, right, to train itself, right, to kind of absorb the data and then to learn from it. So basically, a lot of times ChatGPT will always try to predict the next word based on the prompt. For whatever prompting it gives, it try to predict the next word, it generate the next word and try to be as accurate as possible. And in doing so, they also try to make it pattern the way human talks, right? So that is another point to note on how ChatGPT works itself. Next is ChatGPT also fine-tuned to generate more natural sounding human responses. Again, just now I mentioned the large language model that is using is always trying to be very natural in terms of the responses. And finally, ChatGPT can perform a variety of tasks, of human-like tasks to help you at work. Treat it as your personal assistant, your PA, right? The only point is that your PA, your ChatGPT, is like your mini Einstein, right? It can respond to you on any subjects, on any matters very quickly. It's very smart, okay, in doing the human-like tasks, right, when asking questions. But at the same time, right, how well it functions will depend on how well you ask the questions. It boils down to how you communicate. Remember just now I started off with the starting communication. The code on it changes the way we communicate with machine. The code by Andrew, right? ChatGPT can perform human-like tasks, but only if you know how to communicate with this PA, this personal assistant, in the most optimized manner. Unfortunately, this is not just a pure kind of science. Prompt engineering techniques is not just science itself. It's an art of science. It's involved both art and science in finding the balance to quickly find out the right solutions from your ChatGPT. Now we know that how ChatGPT works. We now look at some of the things we should be cautious of when using ChatGPT. For example, as you can see at the start here, you should never enter any confidential sensitive information, whether is it members' details or unannounced policy into ChatGPT. It is still a public platform after all. Now, here I would like to highlight cybersecurity risk, right? About this point about putting personalized details like credit card information. What is the risk? Security of AI system. The AI model themselves like ChatGPT needs to be secure against attack aimed at stealing the model, altering its output through data poisoning or exploiting vulnerability in AI system to gain unauthorized access to system or information. ChatGPT, if it gets hacked, your personalized information that you shouldn't put in actually can be made known to hackers, and hackers can use it to compromise your organization, right? Especially when you use ChatGPT in your organization domains, right, in the environment itself. So that is one security risk that Mr. Chua will be sharing with you in the next topic. Now, the next thing that you shouldn't do is to be so-called accepting the information from ChatGPT as the latest information. Remember, there's sometimes a cutoff date for the data that they are trained at. So ChatGPT used to have this hallucination problem. They make up facts about events that happens after the 2021, where it's the cutoff date for the data training of its model. So that's one thing to know. Now, the other thing is you should always be cautious. You should do fact check when it comes to the responses for ChatGPT, especially those you find it a bit dubious or a bit something that you feel uncomfortable with. Please make sure you do some fact check, cross-reference with online sources. And next is watch out for biased data, right, from ChatGPT. Here, of course, in the slide, it highlights the example of asking ChatGPT why CPF can't be used for healthcare. Now, by asking this question, right, the ChatGPT actually responds by assuming the statement is true. So in itself, the response already have made a biased assumption because you provide a biased kind of prompting also, right? Here, moving on in this section, we explore ChatGPT use cases for professionals. This segment shows how Gen AI not just an emerging technology trend, but is rapidly being integrated into the office and business communication, which I'll share with you shortly, such as WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, and Telegram, right? You can actually generate content to be used on those platforms. The first use case will be writing assistance. So ChatGPT stands out as a reliable assistance for crafting emails, reports, and proposal. Its capability to understand context and generate coherent text makes it a very invaluable asset for professional aiming to enhance their written communication. So that's one use case. Later I'll share an example how it looks like. Next use case is it helps to summarize long text. In today's fast-paced professional world, okay, efficiency is key. ChatGPT can distill extensive documents, research papers, very detailed reports to concise summaries, allowing us executive to do quick comprehensions, make decision fast. Now, on a humorous side, right, of things, I think this will be one of the most frequently used feature because you will see longer emails from your colleagues who just started to use ChatGPT and they forgot to use prompting such as keywords like succinct, short emails, for example, and it generates long emails that you will need to read. So with this ChatGPT, you can help to summarize all the content that is in your inbox. It brings sanity to you in your office. Now, the next use case will be pair programming. Now, for pair programming, basically, it is for technical professionals, IT software developers, programmers, to use it as a virtual colleague to offer coding suggestions, debugging, and even writing code snippets. This collaboration with your little instance or your so-called your PA can really significantly speed up the development process and improve code quality. Now, of course, there are also other interesting use cases in point 4 and 5, such as generating ideas, where you can use it for brainstorming sessions. ChatGPT can be a source of inspiration, ideas for your project, step-by-step marketing campaigns, or innovative strategies, helping you to come up with creative thinking and problem-solving methods. Now, besides generating ideas, of course, ChatGPT can simulate conversation, very useful for the customer service industry, for the customer service department, obviously, for companies that is in e-commerce, for example. It's also useful for creating sales strategy, for generating a conversation role play to test out your sales strategy. ChatGPT can simulate realistic conversation, providing executives with a sandbox to refine their communication skills or develop their own chatbots to interact with their customers or even with their internal partners, right? So, in summary, right, the integration of ChatGPT or Gen AI into everyday business promises big changes to how we work, communicate, and innovate. Now, moving to writing assistance. One of the first use case that I mentioned earlier on for Gen AI or ChatGPT itself as a tool, right, is it can use as a writing assistant when you start off with not much on hand in terms of your content. You want to write a piece of content, but you don't have much to begin with, or you have already some content, okay, a fairly complete content. So these two scenarios can use ChatGPT to improve your writing. So here is an example, right? To write an email from scratch by providing some context, like, for example, here you can see is the context will be a formal email to supervisor. It's about budget. it's about meeting tomorrow and so on. And you ask ChatGPT to provide a crafted email with the title, of course, given automatically, and the content of the email itself. Here you can see that you can have a first cut of your email being drafted out to the user. For example, me, who wanted this email to my supervisor requesting approval for my presentation. Now, I can, of course, subsequently refine my email that ChatGPT responded with by saying, hey, could you make it less formal? You, of course, I'm referring to ChatGPT. When you're having that prompting, right, it's like a conversation with your PA, personal assistant. Could you make it more formal? So you see all the difference. You see the red box. I quickly highlight some of the red box. The email actually becomes less formal. Instead of dear, you use hey. Would it be possible instead of I'm happy to schedule, and then instead of best regard, it becomes best, a less formal way of writing an email. Now, you can also ask ChatGPT to reply to an inquiry, right? In it. So it's very useful for people in the service industry, right, where they need to answer customer query, right? You ask ChatGPT to come up with an answer in it. Now, the second way of improving your draft, remember, imagine you already have some content at hand, but you want it to be written much better because you feel that your communication is not really very optimized to the audience, to the scenario that you are intending to write it to. So you can ask ChatGPT to write, to fix also grammar mistakes that you always have it in your communication, and to also manually tweak the output from your revised version. So here is an example of a pre-written draft. You notice that the pre-written draft is put on top, and then at the bottom of your prompt, right, that is where you put your request inside, asking ChatGPT to improve the draft, right? And then, of course, here you can see the improved version of ChatGPT. Now, for some of you, you will prefer to put the request on top and the draft email below. Either way, it will work. ChatGPT is smart enough, can contextualize your prompt. Now, moving on, ChatGPT also summarizes the long text, right? Another application of ChatGPT. Now, you can ask ChatGPT to extract key information, simplify for you, change the format, make it into point form, make it very easy for you to understand. Here, you can see how it summarizes the content, right? It uses TLDR, basically it's too long to read. Too long didn't read, right? So this is a short form to summarize the content that you receive and you want to make it short. Another way, of course, is to say, ask ChatGPT in the prompt, say, summarize the following content in maybe 50 words or 100 words, or just say summarize it into point form like is shown on the right hand side of the screenshot. Now, here next is a useful use case is pair programming. Now, you can throw in existing programming codes for chat and ask ChatGPT to troubleshoot for you. Or you can prompt ChatGPT to generate new codes in certain programming language to do certain functions, which I'll share with you shortly how it looks like. So here is one example asking, right? Here you ask ChatGPT to solve the error in your codes, right? Basically, you throw in the codes, but before that, you put the prompt there, the request saying, if you ask ChatGPT, hey, how do I handle the errors in this code, right? Or you can tell them, please handle the errors in this call, for example, right? And then ChatGPT comes out with a response. It says that, hey, to handle the errors, you can use the catch when called, and then here's an example you can write on, for example, right? This is one way. Next is basically you can solve your coding error, right? ChatGPT is a very good debugging tool, right? It can point out the issues for you, where is the problem. Here you can see the prompt says any issue with the code, and then you throw in your code, and then your ChatGPT will say that, hey, there are some issues with your code itself, right? And it will tell you in summary, this code will probably not work as intended, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, some of us is lazy. We just don't want to debug. We want ChatGPT to solve the problem, the bug itself. Yes, ChatGPT can also do that as shown here. You say that, can you ask ChatGPT to fix the problem for you? And then ChatGPT say yes, you can fix the problem, and then it comes up with the code itself, right? Now, another way that ChatGPT is your technical consultant, right, in software development is you can ask ChatGPT to explain what the code is all about. I mean, I use it for my lesson. I teach my students to do that. You throw in some codes and ask ChatGPT, what does can you explain the code to me? And ChatGPT will just tell you, hey, based on the code that you provide, right, what is this code about? What does it do, for example, right? And what are the key variables that is being used, right? So it's a very good way for user to understand the codes, for programmer to understand the code, and also to customize better, right? Echoing some of the programmers' pain point. Sometimes they do not come up with their codes. They inherit a bunch of codes from their their previous programmer, for example, and they will try to understand it, right, manually, one line by line, but ChatGPT can help to summarize it. So that is one usage. Now, finally, there's another useful thing I want to call out is reviewing the code. You can ask ChatGPT to perform a code review, right? Well, this is useful if you intend to interview a coder, for example, by asking them to say, hey, do certain programming question, ask them to provide the answer, and then you use ChatGPT to analyze their answer in terms of their structure, in terms of their style, their readability, right? And from there, you will know that, hey, based on the review, right, from ChatGPT, you can quickly see that, hey, this coder, what are the things, are they good at what they code, or they are really not good at what they code, right? Of course, here, here's another example. Even though ChatGPT gives you some comments, you review the codes that you input, right? They give you some recommendation, right? ChatGPT can also provide solutions, right? They don't just say, oh, you should do this and should do that, but it actually provides you with the actual solutions, right? To solve or to be better. Now, you can also ask ChatGPT to write codes for you. Using the prompting, right, you can ask ChatGPT to say that, hey, you are trying to solve certain problem, come up with a code and do it. And here is an example. You give a request and they come up with the code itself. Okay, the next is generating new ideas. I think here most of you have seen me talking about it, that you can use prompts to create new ideas, whether is it come up with ideas to overcome budget constraint, do a better marketing campaign and so on. Here is an example of come up with idea to do team bonding activities, and of course you can refine it with coming up with more context to refine your ideas. And of course, ChatGPT can also provide step-by-step guide to your marketing campaigns, right? You can actually ask ChatGPT to do some of the suggestion in campaigns strategy, what are the steps needed. And of course, I mentioned earlier on is simulating conversation. You can actually can do role play with ChatGPT, right? You can ask ChatGPT to have a difficult conversation. What kind of difficult conversation? Example, performance review. You need to break out the bad news about this staff is underperforming, and how do you prepare yourself in that difficult conversation. Here's an example. You simulate a conversation using ChatGPT, using some prompting, and then from there it can you tell them you can only start the conversation with you starting the talk with the ChatGPT in that conversation. And of course you can see all the conversation being initiated by you and then followed by the ChatGPT and so on, right? And at the end you can actually ask ChatGPT to say that, hey, to give feedback on how you handle the conversation itself based on the response towards ChatGPT answer, right? So you can ask ChatGPT to give you that feedback. And not only it gives you some feedback, it also can give you recommendation, examples of what exactly you can do for some of this difficult conversation. Not just about performance review, but customer service support team, right, to difficult clients itself. So there's a lot of techniques involved in prompt engineer. So how do you be a better prompt engineer, right? So firstly, as I mentioned, it's an art of science. Okay, you need to basically be clear. Okay, a well-crafted prompt will leave no room for ambiguity. So you need to ask, for example, instead of saying, tell me about outer space, you try to use more context. Say, what are the key milestones in space exploration from 1960s to 2020, for example. This will narrow down and give a very clear timeline of your questions that you want, right? And of course, providing context and details, right? Telling users with more details, more context, like as I mentioned, say, let's say you want some information about Victorian England. You can ask ChatGPT to frame your prompt with specific points like describe a daily life and the social norm in Victorian England, and ChatGPT will give you more answers to it. And of course, there are also ways that you can make the prompt better by specifying your target audience. Okay, if you are a teacher crafting a lesson, you can tell your prompt saying, as a polytechnic lecturer, give me a simplified explanation of IoT for students of age 17, right? You specify your audience. Of course, you can also add more further instructions to your prompts. They will provide better answers. And lastly, right, you can change the format of your of the response given by ChatGPT. You can tell them present the nutritional value of apples versus orange in the table formats or in the point forms. Then the response will be easier to read and comprehend for communication. Finally, in the last slide, as I mentioned that ChatGPT is an art of science, right? There's no fixed rule for success. Neither will there be will be a smooth ride for you. There will be times where you need to troubleshoot. So when you are facing some difficulty, right? How do you troubleshoot your ChatGPT prompting when you don't get the answer that you want? One is, of course, be precise in your request. Check your input for mistake. Did you actually put in wrong input, right? You talk to your PA right? If you give wrong instruction, the PA of course will provide you with a wrong answer. So make sure you check the input, and also to provide sufficient context and examples. And if all fails, right, initiate a new chat. Remember, ChatGPT, right, is every um, every conversation is a thread, right? So if you continuous to ask questions on this same thread, right, ChatGPT will be based on that particular thread conversation history, right? So if you are providing more and more errors, or more and more uh, less and less optimized kind of prompting, right, it will be better off to start off with optimized prompting, a new thread. Okay, so hopefully this will give you some quick ways to troubleshoot your ChatGPT. With this, I think uh, I would like to conclude my segment and would like to hand over to the next uh, speaker, Mr. Chua, for his presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, I'm Kei Chiang. Tonight I wanted to share with you about cybersecurity landscape. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity landscape, we are looking into how can we protect against the threat landscape. Now, threats comes about because of vulnerabilities, the weaknesses that we have. And knowing that with the threat, what is the risk involved? So from vulnerabilities, threats will come, and then we know that the risk is there, and we give in to all these threats. So the whole threat landscape means the entire scope of potential, future way of attacks, things that we never known yet, as well as recognized cybersecurity threats. Those that has been documented, those that people have suffered, and those threats can affect you and I, the group, the organization, a specific industry. That's why we talk about cyber attack on industry systems at any time or at a particular time. Now, all threats are always there. Recently, we heard about this new thing called deep fake informations. It could be come in as a video, an audio, or images that people has created with the intent of manipulating us. Let me give a good definition of deepfake. They are synthetic media that has been digitally manipulated using AI, perhaps to replace one person's likeness, so that the victim get convinced, oh, actually it's actually that guy who said this or who have done this. So the picture there show that we could have a face plus another person, and there you have a person with a new face with the same old hairstyle. So we call this face swapping. On the other hand, we can also have this face with the eye looking towards his left, and then the mouth smiling perhaps. Then you add with another angry face, and at the end we get a new face smiling, but with a different hairstyle. So it becoming no more possible for us to differentiate, is it the real person or not the real person who said this? And you see that in this case, AI has been used. So let me play a YouTube that has been produced locally.
Juggle success and productivity with Vodian. From domains, hosting to powerful.
The internet has just got scarier with watching selling some crypto thingy. But actually, that's not scary enough. Watch on and then be surprised. So, before anything, watch this.
Poaching, the renowned leader of Temasek Holdings, recently unveiled an investment secret that promises.
Yeah, shocking, right? Just like you, I immediately know it's fake. Cause. Who the heck still buy crypto? But of course, the issue now is that with AI getting smarter than you, deepfake might be done super easily. In fact, all you need to do is to upload an image of a face and a voice, and the AI will generate the video for you based on the text that you have written. After all, who can forget this? Deepfake isn't new. The exact name, deepfake, was called in 2017 when a Reddit user called Deepfakes created deepfake videos by swapping faces. Then the subreddit called rdeepfakes was created for people to share what they've done. Back then, it wasn't easy, so it was impressive when anyone did one that's pretty realistic like this. But it was only recently that we came across videos that made us wonder what is real and what is fake. In fact, during the Nicosia saga, when the video of them together were published, people thought that it was fake and AI generated. But of course, we now know it's real. Recent movies have also used deepfake to create younger versions of actors. Now, going back to Mochi's fake advertisement, it's quite shocking that the video somehow managed to pass YouTube's advertisement review. Because from our understanding, this review aren't easy to pass one. Google has also once told Deepfake that they have strict apps policy and that they catch the majority of bad apps before they serve. The apps that slip through are mostly taken down within a short time frame. But there is no silver bullets since bad actors change their practices often to avoid being detected. Adding that in 2022, we removed over 5.2 billion apps from our platforms and added or updated 29 policies for advertisers and publishers. So it's scary but not that scary cause the platform is there. Police but what if there's no one to police it? Imagine you apply for a job in banking and then the HR manager contacted you for a video interview. Okay normal so you go the HR managers appear on the Zoom call looking exactly like the profile you see online. We have once googled him and he's indeed working in the company. So the interview went well and he offered you a position. But because he needs to engage a third-party firm to do some checks on you, you need to pay $500 before they can engage you. Of course you pay only to realize it's a scam. Now, if you think that's extreme, how about this? You receive a video call from an unknown number, but it turns out to be your friend Sobina. So Sobina tells you that she has lost her phone, and with her phone saving all her cards and whatnot, she can't do anything. So she needs you to pay now $1,000 to add another phone number urgently first. It's really her and her voice, so there's no reason for you to suspect her, right? You transfer to a scam. It's not her. You see, while super realistic deepfakes used to take a while to generate, it can now be done real time. If you still think it's impossible, then you probably never used it or made to shoot before.
Listen to this. Is it still me or is it not me? What if I tell you this is my real voice instead? Yeah, is this scary? This is especially so in Singapore. According to a report by a friend, deepfakes in Singapore have jumped 5 times to a book alone. Singapore is also the key target for scammers, as the average scam victim in Singapore is the highest in the world. So far, there hasn't been any concrete solution for this first world problem. So the only way to avoid being a scammer is to be like me. Be so poor that you can't be scammed. In the meantime, if you think of something, consider subscribing up. And also watch this video to know why people in Singapore is the #1 victim in the world.
So, Singapore is the #1 victim in the world. Yeah. So we have a CNA report about deepfake search in Singapore. So if you're free, maybe you can take a look at it. So it's becoming difficult for us to believe what we hear and what we see, right, over the media. So we really have to be very careful about it. Again, when we go into the browser, we can easily find there are many deepfake software available for us, and they can do different kind of features using AI to trick us into believing the pictures, the videos, the text, the voice, and so forth. So let me just pick up these two. One of them is called Deepfakes app online. Yeah, all you need to do is to upload the video and click a button. Our apps will do the rest. The other one from GitHub called Deepfakes Lab. Even advertise and say that it is the leading software for creating deepfakes. So that tells us that we really have to be careful with all these tools easily available for people to try it out and perhaps try to fool us. In Singapore, we have our Cybersecurity Agency. They publish the Singapore Cyber Landscape 2022. Usually they publish in June, so perhaps for 2023, we will get it this year. So taking a main summary of the report, here we can see that phishing attempts, 8,000 over cases, perhaps there are even more because many were not reported. Ransomware incidents, many cases as well. Again, certain people wouldn't report it. Infected infrastructure system. Now this is a grave concern because it affects our, let's say, water treatment plant, transport system, and so forth. So Singapore are particularly careful about this. And finally, we have website defacement. So today I want to share with you more about phishing and ransomware in the following few slides. Now, phishing is a digital form of social engineering. Now, social engineering basically means that I'm not going to use technology to try to, cheat you for password, cheat you into doing certain thing. Rather, I use languages, I send you email, and the email looks authentic, and it requests information about the user. Or perhaps I redirect them to a fake website, and again, it will request you for information. Now, phishing can be attacking the broad base of people, everybody in Singapore maybe, right? Or it could be spear phishing, where we look into specific target, people that is of importance in the company. For example, if I'm going for username and password, then I will think about who is the guy responsible for maybe the company that take care of system admin. And such information could easily be found at the internet. A network company called Fortinet, they came out with 19 phishing attacks. So I would just like to go through all this so that we all have a good ideas as when we look into phishing, right? What are we looking at? Spear, as mentioned earlier, we direct at a specific individual or organization. Phishing, we use voice, right? Someone try to call you, right, and try to get information out of you. Email phishing, you know it very well. HTTPS phishing, using web pages. Pharming, that's where you get malicious code installed on your computers. So we call it pharming, and this code will then send fake website as designed to gather their login credentials. Pop-up phishing, so while you're on the web, right? So maybe a box will pop up asking you to click here and there, direct you to download and file, and so forth. Evil twin, hackers set up a false Wi-Fi network. So when we go to certain hotspot, sometimes we are not careful, right? So we wouldn't know which is the genuine one. And when you join to the hacker, of course, your traffic will go through the hacker, and then from there he can analyze what the data is. Waterhole phishing is referring to a site where the group of users tend to visit, and then they will infect the users' computers, right? And then wheeling, target a senior executive. Clone phishing, making identical copy of a message the recipient already received. So when you see the email with an add-on below that email, you tend to believe that, oh yeah, it's actually from your managers. And you believe the following things that is in the email. Deceptive phishing, pretend they are with a real company to inform the target they are already experiencing a cyber attack and so forth. Social engineering, mentioned before, right? They use to pressure people into reviewing sensitive information. Angler phishing, fake social media posts to get people to provide login. Smishing, use SMS, man-in-the-middle attack. It's just a term to say that your access to a third party go through another party. So again, he get to see what information you have. Website spoofing, pretend to be some website. Domain spoofing, similarly, right? So when you go for abc.com, is it really the abc.com? Image phishing, where the malicious code is embedded into the image itself, right? So when you perhaps download the image, you might even download that malicious code. Search engine phishing, making fake products that looks attractive, common things, I think you know, yeah, and so forth. So there are many different kind of phishing attacks that is around. So it's not say, oh, phishing itself, 19 different ones. Now at this point, I'd like to show you two videos. Now one is about Trojan attacks for internet banking.
This is a demonstration of banking Trojan attack. In this attack, the victim received an email that appears to be a legitimate banking website. In the email, the victim is instructed to visit the banking website login page, and a security token will be downloaded into victim's device. When the victim entered the website, he will be brought to what appeared to be a legitimate banking website. However, this is actually a fake website that created by the hacker to trick the victim for his username and password. At the same time, a security token has been awaiting for victim to download. Please take note that it is actually a Trojan that's been sent by the hacker instead. On the remote end, the hacker is running a program called NJRAT to monitor the victim's activities. When the victim executes the security token, the Trojan will automatically create a backdoor in his computer. Unaware of the presence of the Trojan, the victim proceeds to enter his credential for his banking account on the fake website. As backdoor was created in the victim's computer, the hacker is able to record the credential password that's being entered. Meanwhile, the hacker is also preparing another program called Thief, a browser exploitation framework. The moment when the victim entered the fake banking website, this framework will hook his web browser. Next, the hacker will send a prompt to victim, asking for his OTP password. At the same time, the hacker will quickly log into the real banking website, using the credential he stole from the victim, while waiting for him to enter his OTP password. On the other hand, the victim received the OTP password from his mobile device. Unaware the fake prompt on his computer, he proceeds to enter this OTP password. Upon receiving this OTP password from the victim, the hacker is now able to log into the real banking website with the provided OTP. Voila! The hacker is now in the victim's banking account, and he can perform transaction of transferring all his money away.
So we can see that even though we have OTP, the hacker will use different tools and manage to get both your login information as well as OTP, and he could be faster than you while you're still waiting on your screen. Say, hey, how come the bank website never moved, right? So in the video we see is that the hacker put in a Trojan, and because we follow what that malicious email tell us to do, we click, we follow the instruction, and incidentally becomes we downloaded a backdoor where we then allowed the attacker to know what you have typed in at your keyboard. We call this key logging, right? So with that, the hacker can use different tools. In this case, you can see that he used two different tools. One to key log, the other one is to send you the message to pop up so that as you enter the OTP, he will also receive a copy. So be aware. Now the next one, phishing attack on Facebook account.
This is a demonstration of phishing attack. In this attack, the victim received an email from what appears to be legitimate Facebook website. However, this is actually a phishing email sent by attacker. In the email, it states that there has been suspicious activities detected in the victim's Facebook account and that it has been temporarily suspended. The victim is advised to log in to his account in order to verify their identity. It also stated that the account will be permanently deleted if no action taken in 2 weeks' time. When the victim clicks on the link, he will be brought to a website which appears to be facebook.com. However, this is actually a fake website that cleverly designed by the attacker to trick the victim in believing that this is real Facebook website. When you take a closer look on the browser address, it actually says it is facebook.com instead of facebook.com. On the remote end, the hacker is running a phishing software known as Zphisher. When the victim entered the fake Facebook website, his IP address will be reflected on hacker's computer. Unaware of the presence of the fake website, the victim proceeds to enter his Facebook account username and password. Next, the victim will be redirected to a legitimate website. This creates an illusion where the victim thinks he has entered the real Facebook website. Meanwhile, at the remote end, the hacker manages to capture the victim's username and password in the Zphisher program. Therefore, the purpose of this attack is to steal the victim's credential, particularly his email address and password for Facebook account.
So the videos use Facebook account as an example. Of course, similar things can also happen to us on other account that we have in the internet. So the two videos clearly demonstrated that clicking on a malicious email really can cause grave harm to us, right? So for that reason, we are always being told, please be careful before you click, right? Because from there, you can clearly see that attacks are possible. Now moving on. We have another very dangerous attack called ransomware. Now ransomware is a malicious software that once gained access and being installed on your computers, it will encrypt all the data. And unless you pay the ransom, you are not able to access the data. So this is particularly important when you have an office notebook. What happens if your report gets encrypted and you're not able to retrieve it anymore unless you pay the ransom? So the infections will come in because of a phishing email or perhaps visiting a corrupted website. Or it could be a case whereby it's driven by downloads, which means that you never want to have this, but because you click and then the code just gets downloaded in the background on your device. So when the code starts to run, what will happen? Here goes the step. It started off with a phishing email, then the user received and clicked the link, the malware will unpack and execute, attacker will gain control, and then your files will get encrypted. In the message from the attacker, they will tell you, pay me by Bitcoin, right? So unless you pay me, if not, sorry, that's it. So if it really happens to pay the ransom, hopefully the attacker will send you the decryption key. But being an attacker, we can never trust them, right? So after you pay them, they might say, I never received, and ask you to pay more and more. So again, after you're receiving the decryption key, do you know how to decrypt? And will you really get back the original file? So let me just play another video to show you an example of a ransomware attack.
This is a demonstration of ransomware attack. In this attack, the victim received an email that from webmaster.com. However, this is actually fake email sent by attacker pretending to be ticketmaster.com. When the victim clicks on the email, he was prompted to click on the link in the email in order to download a coupon that allows him to get a 30% discount of the Taylor Swift concert ticket. When the victim clicks on the link, he will be brought to a page that appears to be a legitimate Ticketmaster. However, this is actually a fake website that created by the attacker. When the victim lands on the website, an attachment called Discount Coupon Execute file will be automatically downloaded. Unaware of the danger, the victim keep the discount coupon and proceed to click on the coupon exe file and execute it. Next, the victim received a pop-out window stating that all his data files has been encrypted. This makes the victim unable to access all his data files in the computer. In order to access these data files, he was advised to pay a ransom to the hacker to get his files decrypted.
Usually a ransomware, it will give you a red box, right, to tell you that it's a ransomware attack. So again, it's getting to be more and more common. And sometimes when let's say the younger generations, right, they like to attend concert or they like to buy something on discount. So they are in a hurry to say quickly, and then they will just follow the step, click here and there, and then suddenly the red box will appear. So of course the next question is what to do next, right, if you don't want to pay by Bitcoin. So rather than getting into what to do next, it's better to look into don't get into this, right? So hopefully all are aware that ransomware is real, and there are many ways that if we are not careful, we might get it. So we have phishing, we have a ransomware, which is happening around us all the time. And of course, we always hear this thing called scams, right? Now, scam is considered a cyber attack because it uses the media, the cyber, the internet, right? Email, web pages, through the internet to achieve their objective. So Channel New Asia says that in September 2023, we have 330 million lost to scammer just for the first half. Okay, so with that, our police force come up with Scam Shield app right on our phone itself. But of course, scammers can also come through other means, through your computers. Now let me just go through a few of the scamming example in our SG Scam Alert. It is a very interesting site. While we hear many stories about scamming, right, SG Scam Alert provide us a good platform to say that, hey, actually, how to get scammed, right? So I know people are trying to scam me, and then I should take precautions against it. So, top 5 scam, beginning of the month. E-commerce scam, right? Trick you into buying things. Job scam, when you apply for a job or a part-time job, they will promise you good salary. But as we heard before, they will ask you to put in some money first. Phishing scam, we heard about it just now. Investment scam, right? Put money into maybe a fake company. Fake friends call. For this one, I guess all of us has experienced it. Right? Someone will call me. I got this before. He even knows my name. Hello, Kichang. You know who I am? Like that. Then you ask, who are you? Then he said, you guessed that, you guessed that. And then you say, I'm not interested. Then you hang up. And then he'll never call you back again. Right? So you know that it's a scam. But surprisingly, he knows who you are. Then you start to wonder how he knows your number and who you are. Food for thought. Car rental scam, cold call supplier scam, credit for sex scam, cyber extortion, right? Home room rental scam, the guy who said the house belongs to him and want to sell it to you, you put down deposit, actually he's not the owner. Impersonation scam, this one I myself got it before. Somebody stole my Facebook, my face, my account, and then he started to send to my friends in Facebook asking them to do investment. Right? Inheritance scam, this one usually come from foreign countries to say, help me to pass the money out of the country. But again, you must give me some money first so that I could, take the money out. Internet love scam, right? Investment scam, job scam, kidnap scam. Yeah, so they call the grandmother and ta. Loan scam, note more, goodness. Lottery, right? They call you and say you won, right? Money scam, online purchase scam, online travel vacation scam. I got a lucky draw, right? I like to sell my lucky draw away, and it's a holiday. I sell you cheap. PayPal, phishing scam, scam using WeChat, right? It's for you to go and click and find out. There's so many things we can see from this site. Social media impersonations, software update scam, right? Spoof hack email scam, and finally the last one we have is this thing called Wangiri scam. So being the latest, maybe I just say a few words about this. So it got from the Japanese word wangiri, which means once hang up. So you receive a phone call from an overseas number which rings just once. If you return the call, you will get an advertisement for a subscription to a premium chat line or internet service. You do that, you are charged a premium for this call. Okay. In a variation of this scam, the scammer claims to be an official and leave a voice message informing you there has been an emergency to which you must respond by calling back. The latest version involves WhatsApp messages with contact attachment, which if called back, again, charge you a fees. So this is something to be worried about, because sometimes, you look at your call, missed call, you might return call, and because of that, they charge you. Okay. So as to a detail as to how they charge you, how the money go missing, yeah, again, you can find out more from this site. Other interesting thing on this site, compare stories, right? So rather than looking at YouTube video and so forth, so there are people who share. But of course, we wouldn't know whether this sharing is real or not. I became acquainted with this individual through a meeting, and although he used a Singaporean number, I suspect he may actually be from another countries, right? So after a few days of initial interaction and so forth, so forth. Yeah, beware of investment scam. Again, he matched with a girl named Gabby from where claimed to be from Malaysia and had been in Singapore for 6 years working as an relationship manager and so forth, so forth. And then from there, they try to talk to you through Telegram and so forth, so forth. Job scam. So there are many stories that we can see from here. Okay, so do visit Scam Alert. I think it's a platform that we can learn a lot of things. Now, we have gone through a few attack scenarios, right, from deepfake, phishing, ransomware, scamming. So now let's talk a bit about defense. Yeah. Now, this Lockheed Martin, they come up with this cyber Q change model. So it helps us to respond to a security incidents, right? The objective is to detect and stop the attack at the earliest possible. In other words, if you know what the bad guy is going to do, step after step, so when you caught him at a particular step, at least you know what will be next and what had already happened. So let me just go through the 7 steps. It started off with reconnaissance, researching on target information. Earlier I mentioned about spear phishing, right? So if you think the target is worth, or if the attacker thinks the target is worth something to fulfill his objective, so he need to identify a target first, either through internet, through whichever form. From there, he will then, on second step, weaponization, he prepare a remote malware with the backdoor to create a payload. Earlier videos have shown you that we need to prepare the weapon, right, the exploit. So third step say delivery of weapons to the victim through emails or other means. After that, wait for the victims to execute the codes, right? So you receive an email, if you don't execute, then the attack stops there. But if you click on it, you will start the installations of backdoor on the target and you install the software. And that software leads you to step 6. The attacker has command and control over the victim's computer. And once he has control over it, of course, right, he can then achieve his objective, maybe to stealing password, or maybe once you have the password, he can then log into your companies, and from there you will just go in deeper and deeper into your company networks to the server and so forth to retrieve more and more information. So the model provides us the steps. There are also other frameworks that tell us about the techniques, the tactics that threat actors will do so that we are well informed, and when we experience it, we are aware of the attack and know how to respond next before it goes further. Now in the office network, typically the connections are like this. On the left hand side is your local area network that we call LAN, and on the right hand side we have the internet. So to connect the local LAN to the internet, we'll have the router there, so that the router will identify your company or your home with your IP address there. So people from the internet can locate you. So to protect the LAN from the routers, we will have a firewall before the cables go to the switch that form the LAN. So this firewall is in the path. It will provide filtering operations, means that we can write rules to say what can pass through, what cannot pass through. So firewall is the first line of defense. So the network security people will configure the firewall to protect your inside network. The second diagram shows you an IPS, which is an intrusion prevention system. So if it happens to have have an intrusion, this device here will stop the intrusion, okay, before it get in. And the last box shows that we have an IDS. It is an intrusion detection system, which means that when he has detected something is not right, he will generate alerts. And that alerts will go to the security people, the cybersecurity staff in a company, and he will examine the alerts and make a decision about what to do next. So a typical setup is like this: firewall, IPS or IDS. Of course, there are other devices that can protect email as well as web pages, right? Because this is typically what a staff will do, an employee will do, or even the children or ourselves at home will do. We basically surf the web and read emails. So there are devices that are there to help us to secure our network. So for bigger companies, they will have a cybersecurity operations center, which consists of a team of IT professionals, and their job is to protect the organizations by monitoring, detecting, analyzing, investigating cyber threats. It is a very tough job, right? So he's not going to be sitting down there 24/7 and say, hey, monitor all the 1001 traffic, and then detect, are they good or no good, right? And then analyze whether is it an attack or not an attack. And after that, what to do next to stop the attack. So to help him, an SOC will always have these software tools called Security Information and Event Management System, which is a software from big companies. And this software is able to analyze the data, put them nicely into dashboards, receive alerts from devices, right? Put them nicely, give detailed information of what has happened, so that the personnel at SOC will receive the alert and is able to analyze the alert properly. So here says SIEM software will collect, stores, analyze, and report on log data that is generated by various systems such as your firewall, your routers, your switch, your IDS, IPS, right? Whatever security devices it has, then the SEM will collate, right? Put them together, and if the alerts are similar, then they might even just, combine them together. So it monitors security-related activities such as user login, file access, changes to critical system file. So now the cybersecurity professional will just wait for alerts to come. So alerts come, he has to do something about it. Having a SIM, yes, you need the cybersecurity people to be there. The new thing that we have now is called Security Orchestration, Automations and Response System, in short, SOR. Again, it is a set of software. You will collect auto-organization data about security threat, but you will respond to security event without human intervention. That's a plus point about it. So if there's no human intervention, that tells us that it needs to do AI, right? Then how does it do AI? Let's go through the three boxes here. First is security orchestration. It will integrate different internal and external tools, such as vulnerability scanners, endpoint protection products, firewall, IDS, IPS, threat intelligence feeds, and so forth. Now, this threat intelligence feed tell us that he's getting information from the internet. In the internet, there are companies that provide databases, or there are organizations as well they have all this information for sharing. So Saw is able to retrieve information from databases, and from there, he could analyze the data that he has collected. Second boxer says security automation. Fed by the data and alert collected from previous box, security orchestrations, consumes and analyzes the data and creates repeated automated processes to replace manual processes. Tasks previously performed by analysts can now be standardized and automatically executed by this Saw platform. Using AI and machine learning to decipher and adapt insight from analysts, Saw automation can make recommendations and automated future responses. Okay. Alternatively, automation can alleviate threats if human intervention is needed. So you see that these automations will give us a very consistent response, right? Rather than if, let's say, the cybersecurity professionals or somehow miss certain thing or might have interpreted certain thing wrongly. So this AI system will do the job. At the same time, it also can seek human intervention if needed. So security automations will create the alerts based on AI. The last box says security response. Offer a single view for analysts into planning, managing, monitoring, and reporting of actions carried out once a threat is detected. So it tells the security professionals what has happened and what has he done. So Saw is the next tools that SOC will have, right? From SIM that requires security professionals, we have a Saw to help us using AI. So AI-powered solutions can sift through a vast amount of data from events to identify abnormal behavior and detect malicious activities, from malware exploitation, 0 days vulnerabilities, to identifying risky behavior that might lead to phishing attack or download of malicious code. This swift detection, of course, enables organizations to neutralize the threat before they escalate. AI can also automate many security processes such as patch management by making staying on top of your cybersecurity needs easier, because we will never know what is the new attack coming. Okay, so we can see many examples of AI in cybersecurity, right? So breaching, data breach, phishing, malware detections, spam filtering, bot identifications, threat intelligence, and so forth, including network segmentations. Here's an example that I picked from the internet. It is able to detect a breach, right, by looking at specific indicators such as unidentified payments, inquiry from vendors about missing payments, phishing emails to colleagues and external contacts. So here I give you an example of a software powered by AI specifically for detecting attacks on business email. So we have this word called business email compromise attack. Okay, so they even claim that they can't be wrong. Now, right in the middle of this diagram, you see that we have a deploy Saw. Okay, so before we deploy Saw, in order for Saw to work, we need to collaborate to gather enhanced threat intelligence, so Saw will be updated, and all this intelligence comes from all the high impact cases that we can learn from. And how do you record all these high impact cases? Right on the left, we must have a data platform for it. On the right hand side, after you deploy Saw already, the analyst has to be trained to be AI ready. right? And finally, we have to have this installed governance for all AI in cybersecurity to deliver long-term improvement, transparency, and ethically. So this shows us a cybersecurity roadmap. US has this American Cyber Defense Agency, and they also have a roadmap for AI, and there are 5 hexagon boxes here. Number 1, line of effort is about responsibility, use AI to support our mission, right? Don't use it for attack, perhaps. Okay. Assure AI systems. Third box, protect critical infrastructure from malicious use of AI. Fourth, collaborate with the intra-agencies, international partners, and the public. And finally, expand AI expertise in our workforce. So there are roadmaps seeing that AI is going to be widely deployed, and we like AI to serve us good rather than bad. In Singapore, recently, right, Singapore updates AI strategy with aim to contribute globally valuable breakthroughs. We realize that AI is getting to everywhere. So if I quote DPM once said, recent breakthroughs in AI have sparked renewed interest about the potential of AI. Yes, its risks and implications to humanities. Discussion about AI's potential benefits and threats are not new, but we are venturing into uncharted territory. So in closing, today we have seen that there are cyber attacks, and AI is being used in cyber attacks. There are many cyber attacks, and AI is also coming up to defend all these cyber attacks. With that, thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much to our two speakers, Mr. James Yee and Mr. Chua Kee Chiang, on the topics of the cybersecurity and generative AI. For further, investigation into the topics of the webinar of tonight's session, you can refer to the following short courses that's offering by Singapore Poly, right? 2 on the cybersecurity and 1 on the generative AI. And for those businesses who are interested for further exploration into the topics of discussion of today, in terms of the project works or even engaging our interns, right, for their projects during their internship, there is also a link, right, to our 5G and AIoT technology hub in School of EEE. And as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, there is a QR code for those of you who have yet to register with us to get our pre and post reading materials. Please, you can take out your mobile phone and scan the QR code and register, and you will get the necessary materials that will send it to your registered email. I will pause here for a few seconds for you to do that. Okay, for our next 2 webinar sessions, we will have urban farming that's happening on the next Monday, same time, and you can also use a QR code to register for our next 2 webinar session. The one on the urban farming, right, will be on the 19th of February. And the last one on the 4th of March will be on the electric vehicles 101. So we hope to see you again, right, in our subsequent webinar session. Thank you for your participations on our webinar sessions, and good evening. Thank you.